Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Tava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Damagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatosh Maham Om Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. Good to be back. Chapter 3. Just before we stopped, I'm just going to connect with the last statements of our last class. The entire Mandukya Karika is Apavada Pradhana. So we have Adhyaropa and Apavada. So all through the Vedantic process, we have been giving notions that later on, in due time, they are removed, okay, retracted. And then Swami is saying that the entire Mandukya Karika, especially the Karikas, is about removing everything. So it is, Pradhana is dominated by retraction of everything that was presented before. Okay, so no surprise. And then he says, which is the most difficult part of Vedanta? Well, yeah, maybe. The teacher takes away all ideas introduced as if he is contradicting himself, and then the student is not mature enough, he may get the idea that Vedanta is contradictory, okay? And therefore, it does not make sense. So all the other Upanishads that we study are Adhyarupa Pradhana. So they are mostly about presenting concepts that helps us to keep moving. So, and they are absolutely necessary. As we know, operating Nietzschean, we need Nietzschean concepts, okay? Even for transacting on the mundane kind of level, we cannot avoid but using our apparent identity as body mind, interacting with other body minds, and trying to conform to the rules and principles governing the Dharma field. So, and then now we get into Vedanta, we start getting many concepts which are absolutely necessary. So all those concepts are part of the Karma Kanda of the Vedas. It's about doing things to gain something else. And ultimately, we are doing things, doing all kinds of sadhanas to get mental purification, refinement, and then it's okay. So in the end, we're going to see that, you know, the Jiva was never really originated or created, and Ishvara was never created, originated, but somehow Maya has the power to project this entirely apparent reality in which the Jiva-Atmas are integral part. So, and as I often say, it's only within the appearance that we can find the absolute truth in regards to this appearance, okay? And this absolute truth is what I am. As you know, we cannot say the name anymore. From now on, we're gonna be like, not even Turiya is gonna be misleading as well. We just shut up when we talk about our absolute nature or truth. So therefore, it is difficult because Gaudapada will consistently say that there is no existent world if there is no world. So what are we doing here? And that brings up these notions we find in the spiritual circles all around, that you don't exist, I don't exist, the world does not exist, there's nothing to do, okay? but the existence of the world and the jiva, apparent jiva, remains. No? And then if the jiva does not have the complete teaching, because those are extractions or fragments of the last statements. There was a guy that appeared a few years ago that he came from India with a white kind of saying and a bob, and he used to only repeat these last statements of the Mandukya Karika. But without the complete understanding of the Adyaropa stage of the teachings, so that we can get to the Ampavada, to the retraction, everything, without the complete overview, just to destroy everything before even people begin to constructing a pure heart and a good intellect and so on. It is useless. No, it just paralyzes people. And some people may be even depressed because now on top of everything, I'm not real, I don't exist. No? So if there is no world at all, what is there then? There is an appearing world, but there is no existent world. A non-existent world, but an appearing world is called Mithya, brilliantly presented by Vedanta. This has to be grasped. The Mithya world is supported by what's being said to be Brahman, or consciousness, or Turiya, yeah, which is my nature, my essential, fundamental, intrinsic nature, as Jiva Atma, or the Atma, Jiva's Atma. So let's say Jiva's Atma. So the Atma of the Jiva is Jiva's Atma. So Atma, which is my true nature, which is myself, which is synonymous of Turiya or Brahman, is the ground, is Adhistanam that supports this superimposition of Namarupas, which are available for experience, but they are not real. No? This is the message of the third and the fourth chapter. So we are going to see it already heavily in this one. And in the fourth, there will be a few surprises in there. But it's just wrapping up the entire teaching of the Karikas, the fourth chapter, but with some few new elements, okay? And not only that, in the very end, even Gaudapada is going to emphasize that, so don't believe that you can neglect this world that which is not really real, which does not really exist, okay? Because you need it, you need to understand this apparent reality, which we call Mithya, that which is not Sat, it's not a Sat, it is just Mithya. No? So it's very important we keep that. Therefore, Aline, it's not really so tough or devastating, because in the very end, Swami is going to tell us, Gaudapada, no? That Mithya is available for appearance and experience. We cannot neglect it. We keep doing our things there. But he goes very, very deep to destroy any concept in our subconscious mind that holds reality to the world. Because as long as we are still attributing some reality to this world, we're gonna feel like caught up. We're gonna be bound to the world, because there are some small vagueness or abstractions or doubts that still is going to allow us to attribute reality and then remain bound to the world. So it's important we go through the entire logic with Gaudapada, which serves the purpose to make us see that there is no point for us to remain invested in this Mithya world. Okay, the third topic is that even by scripture now, there are few, he says, first he said that Jiva is not born, we're going to see all of that. Then Brahman, Jiva was not originated or born out of Brahman. And then we say, okay, Jiva does not exist. And then the next thing he's going to say that Brahman does not exist either. or Ishvara, the creator, does not exist. And the world was not created by Brahman. And he's going to present several examples, including some scriptural analysis done by Gaudapada, proving, negating the origination of this world. They're very beautiful, but it's going to require quite some brain power to follow those logics. Gaudapada therefore negates the existence of the world, but does not negate the appearance and the experience of the world. This point is missed by a lot of people. Gaudapada never says that you will not experience the world. The world experience will continue before and after Mandukya Karika retracts most of those statements from before. The experience will continue, but will never assign real existence to the world. Now we'll take up the first stage. So you see, the experience will continue. The world is going to continue to appear just like the blue sky and the rainbow and many other things. The appearance remains. We never say like, oh, the sun is not setting because, the sun never sets. It's just the rotation of our planet. We never need to say that. We say the sun is setting, the sun is just, setting and, I forgot. Rising. So we just say the sun is rising. But deep inside, subconsciously, we know that that's not the case. It's an appearance of a rising sun. Yeah? So we got the knowledge. Knowledge is that which is always good. And if we are challenged about that, I say, no, this is just an appearance. I know. This world is not real. But, we just say, so I'm here in the planet Earth. Yes, yeah, in this universe in here. No? So, but we know it's not real. No? So, the verse 3, Atma is indeed like the space. It's born in the form of jivas, which are like pot space, in the form of bodies also, which are like pots. This is the illustration with regard to the birth of jivas. So this is the most brilliant analogy or example or illustration of in which way the jivas were never born and they are not contained within the body. As we know, everything is contained, quote unquote, within I consciousness or Turiya. Everything is apparently contained within I, myself, as Brahman or Turiya. The first part is the logical negation of the origination or the birth of the jiva. The example Gaudapada used here is that of space, which is a very important one. Brahman, Atma, or Turiya is often compared to space. We know space and light are wonderful analogies as pointers to that which is our true nature. So light is beautiful as well. It refers more to consciousness. And space has a different connotation, which is more related to Sat. But the analogy here is that space is one and the same, we know. So the space we see in this house is the same space we see in the other house, no matter if one house is small, another house is big. When the houses are destroyed, the space is absolutely free, not affected by anything. It's all pervasive, it is untouched by anything. It is formless. So there are many features which are good illustrations of what we are, the most subtle of the subtle. So sometimes they say that consciousness or Brahman is the space of the space. So You understand, we understand space, but we don't see it because it's colorless, formless, all-pervading, visible, accommodating everything, and it's not affected or contaminated by anything, indivisible, and it cannot divide itself, it cannot multiply itself. It's and then we come to the example. We have an open space, and there is a potter working with argilla, clay, and creates many pots. And then once the pots are created, they were created within the open space. So, but then appears as if there is available space within each one of those pots. Now we appear to have space within everyone. So we have this space within and we space outside the walls of the clay pot. Therefore, we use the expression outside space, inside space, unenclosed space and enclosed space. Even though we use two phrases, open space and enclosed space, really speaking, space is not being divided. It's only seemingly divided. So this is how Vedanta works, to give us a clear picture of our situation here. So at first, it appears as if consciousness is enclosed within our body-mind. So, but then on further analysis, we will understand the features of consciousness. And then we will understand that consciousness is not part, property, or product or byproduct of the physical body or the subtle body. So consciousness, it goes beyond all the bodies, all the universe, is the background of all namarupas or all projections of all worlds and universe. So we know that, I know that you guys know that consciousness is not enclosed in the physical body or subtle body. But the teaching here presents as a parallel, so the consciousness appears to be enclosed in the physical body. But the enclosed consciousness is the same as the consciousness outside of the physical body. And then we'll say, okay, and then consciousness is enclosed in all subtle bodies, all living creatures. Yes, so we retract that notion later on, as if consciousness is enclosed within every and all living creatures. Yes, but then later on we have to understand that consciousness is enclosed in all inert creatures or objects. So bottom line, consciousness is all pervasive, but somehow when getting in touch, when a subtle body gets in touch, created by the power of Maya, there is a small reflector there that produces this reflected consciousness, that is the Jivatma, that identifies with the pot. In that sense, our body is the pot, and our reflected mind or our consciousness is enclosed consciousness. Okay, everybody fully ignorant believes that my consciousness, my human consciousness, my enclosed consciousness, but they are referring to the mind, and they don't have the clear understanding of what consciousness is. So the same way the space is the same space we see in the pots and outside of the pots. And we have this understanding. It cannot be separated by anything because space is all pervasive. It's just pervading the walls, the clay walls of every pot, fundamentally. So it is just a seeming division. So once we introduce the inside space or the enclosed consciousness or enclosed space, and then this space or this limitless universal consciousness appear as many. So appear as many what? Many minds. Or if we like the word consciousness, it appears as many human consciousness. Okay. And then we start comparing every mind or every human consciousness according to the features of the body mind. The body mind here is the pot. I'm adding not only, I'm calling it the body mind. Here is presented as the physical body, most probably. The physical body is the pot, but fundamentally it is the body mind complex is the pot. The body mind has features and attributes and qualities, and that somehow we believe that the space was conditioned by the features of this spot. So likewise, the universal consciousness was conditioned by the features of the body-mind complex, okay? So it is a transfer of attribute, as we say. So it's upadi transfer, it appears to a transfer to consciousness. Very few people in the world knows about this transfer from the body-mind complex to consciousness itself. This is the superimposition of Mithya into Satya. No? The words are many, the adjectives are many, but how many spaces are there? Only one space, which is not divisible and which cannot be multiplied. Open space is not available for any function. And then he says, so it does not help to say that, okay, I am consciousness, I'm open-visive, and I am just shining everywhere as the shining world. And then the Swami says, it does not help, if you don't have a subtle body of a human construct, so that you can know that you are, and you are the limitless Turiya. So this consciousness becomes useful only when it is apparently enclosed within the body-mind. So the best language here is consciousness becomes useful only when it is in association with a body-mind complex, a human body-mind complex, by the power of the greatest magician, Mr. Maya. Only one consciousness, and appears to be many human consciousness. And then he presents us a fact that when we see open land, oh, I bought a lot of land, and then so I cannot do anything unless I build something there. If I want to occupy for living, I need to build walls and make a roof. Open space is of no use. Likewise, consciousness without association with the body mind is of no use. Okay, so when we say that consciousness is not product or property of the body mind, and we often say that at the very end, after we go through some other features, we go in the end, we say, and by the way, only only in the association with the body mind consciousness can be verified. And then we have the analogy of electricity that is always running through the wires in the walls, but it becomes useful and verifiable only when we turn a switch and then we see, yes, electricity is here. So likewise, consciousness shines in the human intellect or every other living creature. And then we can say, yes, here it is. Turiya is also in here. Consciousness is also in here. Until we understand that Sat and Chit are the two sides of the same Turiya, and then even the existence of a rock or the earth, is a proof of the existence of Brahman. Therefore, consciousness is behind that as well, but not shining as a sentience, let's say. Sentience or sentience? Sentience or sentience?
Sentient. You want in this?
Sentient, because Portuguese is sentience, and in English sentience, and sometimes I get confused. The build is not main concerned, but the space within. Transactional utility belongs to the enclosed space. The space has no useful if it's not enclosed. Advitant space has now become many space. Let's say advitant consciousness become many human consciousnesses. This plurality looks as though factual plurality, but there are not many spaces within all those parts, and the same way there are not many consciousnesses within as a product of every human part, the body-mind complex, okay? So it is a plurality, but it is resolved into non-duality. Now, if we analyze it in the light of the teachings of Advaita Vedanta, now it looks like there are many spaces, and then reality is Advaitam, but all the time space is Advaitam. So likewise, consciousness is one and the same. We know Advaitam, and but appearing as many human consciousnesses. If space can be similarly divided, and similarly divided space can become useful for transaction. The same thing is happening with consciousness. Consciousness by itself is not available for transaction without the body-mind complex. When many body-minds create, the all-pervade consciousness, one without the second, is available within the body, as if enclosed in the body, as if within the body, but it's just, it shines in the body-mind complex as aham, as I am. Now, there are two consciousness, as it were. One is external consciousness, which is not available for any transaction. We have established consciousness without the body-mind complex is useless. And then there is the enclosed, quote-unquote, consciousness obtained within my body-mind complex. So we look around and we say, oh no, but the same, there is also body-mind, other body-mind complex here, and there are other enclosed consciousness here. And then there are many consciousness which appear to be enclosed or as a product, a byproduct of every body-mind complex. You see how easy it is for us to take that consciousness is a byproduct of the body-mind complex. Everybody is misled in the spiritual world, especially in the scientific communities. So everybody believes that consciousness is a byproduct of the body-mind complex. The first and foremost transaction that happens when consciousness appears to be enclosed or associated with the body is aham, I am. The first consciousness is called self-awareness. Very nice, self-awareness. I am, and I know that I am. I exist, and I do know I exist. The open consciousness without this body-mind complex that is not self-aware. So consciousness is self-aware through eyes. And this is due to our human birth, which is due to our good karma, good merit, according to the scriptures. The very same I am enclosed in the body-mind develops self-awareness. I am. This enclosed, quote-unquote, consciousness is with self-awareness, is called Lin, Mark, and all of us Jivatmas, okay? Which fundamentally we are the Atma of all Jivas, okay? Atmas Jiva. This self-awareness does not refer to the body-mind complex, or even the reflect consciousness is only a byproduct, but it refers to the original consciousness. So this aham has nothing to do, it's not really a feature of the body-mind complex. This aham is a feature of universal consciousness. And it appears as reflected consciousness. It reflects in the subtle body, the reflecting medium. But this reflection is not a byproduct of the reflecting medium, because, you say, okay, it's a reflection, so the medium is producing. No, it's not the medium, the same way the moon does not produce the light we enjoy in the night of full moon. So it's all due to universal consciousness. It refers only to original universal consciousness. This appearing enclosed consciousness is Jivatma. And if not associated or enclosed, quote unquote, with Jivatma, with the body-mind, it is unenclosed, all-pervasive consciousness is called Paramatma. That's very nice. If it's unenclosed, it's Paramatma. If it is enclosed, it is still Paramatma, but the Jiva-Atma believes that, no, I'm a byproduct of this body-mind complex. Paramatma is some principle. It's another consciousness which is for bad luck of Paramatma. He is not enclosed on any body-mind. So Paramatma is called Paramatma. It's all pervasive. And it's beyond being in and out of any body-mind complex. Okay, so body-mind complex apparently appear within the universal consciousness of Turiya. So the unenclosed, all-pervading consciousness is called Paramatma. It is unenclosed because even when jivas, body-mind complex, are created, it's not enclosed. So that I want to come back to that, but the jiva-atmas are paramatmas. You understand? So the whole purpose of Vedanta is to analyze until we reestablish our identity as identical to Paramatma, which is the Atma, the absolute Atma, the Atma, Param. It's the same of the Atma of Jiva. You understand? There is only one Atma, the self, which is of non-dual nature. It appears when we say it is enclosed, is because universal consciousness somehow, due to the power of Maya, identifies with the body-mind, but fundamentally there is no enclosed consciousness. Consciousness is always free, and it's just a misidentification, misunderstanding that happens when consciousness shines as the Atma of the Jiva. It's said that external consciousness is Paramatma and internal consciousness is Jivatma. So we already understood that those are just pointers that need to be removed. So I'm presenting and removing simultaneously. Is there a division between them? Of course not. Is there a division between the pot space and the total space? Don't say that division is there. Don't say that division is not there. The answer should be that there is a seeming division between space and pot space. Similarly, Jivatma and Paramatma are seemingly divided or separate as two entities, but really speaking, there is no division at all. When the pot is born, the pot space appears to be enclosed within the pot. Can it be said that the potter created space? Now he's going to do further analysis here. Can it be said that the potter created the pot space? No. The potter creates what? The pot. Yeah? He creates the pot, gets the clay and then creates the pot. So the pot did not do anything about the space. The total space, yeah, does not undergo any change because space is like consciousness, is unchangeable, no? Nirvikara. Total space does not go any modification or change to produce a pot space. In order to produce something, the cause of that something has to go through change. The space does not go through change. Okay, Brahman does not go through change. Therefore, Brahman cannot create this world. So total space has not undergone any change or modification in order to produce a pot space. Total space has not been divided to produce pot space. Pot space has not been multiplied to produce several pot space. Pot space has not been produced at any time. When the pot is created, the enclosed pot space, the apparently enclosed pot space seems to be created, same thing. But before the creation of the pot, the enclosed space was not available. So space was here before they built this house that I live in. And this space here was not useful for living. So at the most you could grow something here. They used to grow rice around here, or have the cows just growing here. Therefore, we tend to say that the enclosed space is created, but the potter does not create it. So how did this space was created? So the potter did not create it. So clay cannot create it itself because it's totally inert. The space did not create itself as enclosed space. This is a good analogy. How could the space somehow create itself as an enclosed space? Because this goes to the Atma of the Jivas, that being limitless, spaceless consciousness somehow creates some notion that I am enclosed in this body and limited by the features of the body. It's all imagination, as we know. So nobody's creating the pot space except the jiva, due to certain ignorance that compels jiva to define itself as a byproduct of the body-mind, which is something unavoidable in the process of growing up as from a child to an adult. When the pot is created, the enclosed pot space seems to be created. It was never created. Therefore, the Atma of the Jiva was never born. The Atma of the Jiva was never born. So what was born? It was the body-mind complex, or more specifically, the physical body was born. So, but it appears that the Jiva was born and created. Before the creation of the pot, the enclosed space was not available. After creating the pot, the enclosed space is available. Again, he's pointing to utility of having an apparent enclosed space, or an apparent Jiva Atma that associate to a body-mind complex. Therefore, we tend to say that the enclosed space is created by the potter, but the potter never created it. Similarly, when the body-mind complex is born, the total consciousness is available, shining in the body-mind complex. This body-mind complex now is not called Atma or Paramatma, but Jiva Atma. Jiva Atma is not born. What was then born? The Namarupa called so and so. So now we can look at this from two angles, okay? The total consciousness is now available in the body-mind. It's having a utility, purpose, which name Jivas. So Atma, I have been playing with this all through this seminar in Brazil. I call it Atma's Jiva and Jiva's Atma, okay? The Atma of the Jiva and the Jiva of the Atma, you understand? To make a distinction, okay? So its name Jiva, which was born, the body-mind was born, but the Jiva is not only Jiva, the Jiva is Jiva Atma. It's not by chance that they call Jiva Atma, because the Atma is their shine through the Jiva. But the Atma of the Jiva was never born. The Jiva, we can say, was born, which is the body-mind. The body-mind was born, but the Atma of the Jiva was never body. What was body? Was the Jiva of the Atma, or the Atma of the Jiva? It was the Jiva of the Atma. So the Jiva was born, but not the Jiva Atma, no, not the Atma. The name pot is born. Okay, the Namarupa Mark was born. So the Namarupa Arlindo was born. So we have introduced the name pot space for the sake of transaction. So the Jiva Atma is an analogy like the pot of this body mind, the pot consciousness or the consciousness associated with the body mind complex. But the Atma was never born in any case, in any of all period of times and so on. This Jiva Atma is only a name given to the body mind complex with its attributes and its use for the sake of transaction, and the ultimate transaction should lead us to wisdom, spiritual wisdom. No? So who was born before? I was never born as Atma. None of us was ever born. It's just a body mind, which is an instrument to be seen this apparent reality, was apparently born so that I could transact in this apparent reality. Yeah? And in the process, the Atma of the Jiva has the potential to understand its true, free, limitless nature as the Atma of the Jiva, yeah? Which is identical to Paramatma. Jivatma, Paramatma, Aikya. We have introduced the name. Jivatma was never really born. In Bradaranyaka Upanishad, it says that the procedure of the naming of a baby that's born, it says that the parents should name the child Brahman and only Brahman. Everybody should be called Brahman only. Because everybody is the Paramatma. Jivatma is Paramatma. So just imagine to be born and receive this name. It would be wonderful, everybody calling you Brahman, 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 Brahman. But it could create some confusion. If every child is named Brahman, there will be confusion, of course. So the Upanishad says that even though every child is Brahman, which is none other than all-pervading consciousness, Brahman, Paramatma, let the name Brahman remain the secret name behind all the names. Very nice. Let the parents give the babe another name. Similarly, the word Jivatma is born, but we are all Paramatma all the time. Thus, Gaudapada says that your name is Jivatma for transaction purpose, but you remain Paramatma. Or in another, from another angle, just accept yourself to be a Jivatma, but knowing clearly that you are the Atma of this Jiva. You understand? I am consciousness, which is shining and illumining and blessing this body mind, so that I can grow and get wisdom. One total space is as such born in the form of many pot space. Only the word pot space is born, even though the pot space is not born. There is no difference in the space now inside of the pot, outside of the pot. In the same way, there is only universal, limitless, free consciousness, Paramatma, Brahman. And it appears in this meteor reality as Jivatmas, but none of this is really being born. Space is never born within any building. There is no question of I'm going to create a space. You create walls and roofs, but you don't create space. Jivatmas are never born, really, in their fundamental nature, which is consciousness, which is the Atma. Likewise, space is never born. Nobody can create a spacious building because there is no question of a spacious building or small building, you know, anything. Space is beyond any one of these qualities or adjectives. Just as spots are born out of space, all the body-mind complex are born out of Brahman only. So just as spots are born out of space, all body-mind complex are born out of Brahman, of Paramatma only. Space is the cause of pot and the seeming cause of pot space. Paramatma is the cause of Jivatma, and Paramatma is the cause of the body as well. This example, pot and pot space, should be used to understand the creation. Gaudapada analyze the example. Now he's going to really work on this example. And again, this is more Adyaropa that later on is going to be negated. The Apavada later on is going to say that the Jivatma is never born out of Paramatma. Now, because the space, we can say that the space in my room is born not from out of the building material, or the architect. It's just space. We say, no, it's just space. But space did not cause the enclosed space. Space does not do anything. Paramatma does not do anything. Later on, he's going to explain that Paramatma is not the cause of anything. Okay? Brahman is not the cause of anything. Brahman did not create the Jivatma. It's all to be blamed on Mr. Maya, as we know. Anything from you guys?
Just real appreciation for this verse. It's beautiful.
Yeah, very nice. So jivas merge into this Atma just as spot space, it can merge into the total or outside space when the pot itself are broken or resolved. So when the body-mind breaks down, appears as consciousness merge into Paramatma, and the space of the pot, it's just submerged into the external space when the pot is broken. So anyone who is not really careful will see, of course, the inside space is going to be merging and melt back into the external space. But as we already understood the point, there is no question of being closed or merging back into the outer space. And there is no even question of consciousness, human consciousness merging into limitless consciousness. Human consciousness is limitless consciousness. When the pots are created, the pot space is similarly created. When the pots are broken, what happens to the pot space? Generally, it will be said that the pot space merged into the total space. Gaudapada asks, what is the meaning of the word merge? It's a verb. How does the space can do something like that? The space is not a doer. So how can my consciousness, my human consciousness, which is not a doer, merge back into the universal consciousness? The word merge is a verb indicating some action. Does the pot space travel once the pot is broken to merge into the outer total space, as if, finally enough, now I broke free? No. Now the same thing is consciousness. No, I want to break free. I want to break free. No, you were never enclosed. The Atma of the Jiva was never enclosed, was never bound to the body-mind, was never bound to the world. It's the all-pervasive consciousness existence principle, totally free from all phenomenal objects appearing within itself, apparently. So there is no question of broken free. Can you then say that the pot space undergoes a change to become total space? Yes, it has to go to a certain period of purification and so on. No, consciousness does not need to be purified at all. What needs to be purified a bit is the mind, so that the mind can understand there is no question of traveling or change something. You see my true nature as consciousness. Consciousness is not subject to change, purification, or improvement. It's all the mind that undergoes a little change to understand it's limitless, always free and independent. Moksha, no? No, because space cannot undergo change, therefore there is no travel, change, or moving. Then why is the verb merge used? It's not a false verb. The word merge conveys only one thing. Pot space merging into total space means that nothing happens outside, but we just withdraw the word pot space. Okay. All Vedantic words, all words we use, words in general, they are dualistic by nature. They are created based on phenomena. And everything is structured according to opposite pairs, in and out being another one. So the limitation of dualistic language, which is the nature of all language, to convey the nature of something which is not dualistic by nature, it's tremendous. It's very difficult. How can we say that the space, the inner space of the vase, after the clay pot broke. So what happened to the space, So is it really free? No, we say, no, it's just dissolved. No, it's dissolved, it's merged. It's just words that imply some action. And sometimes the words imply some doing in the experience, to convey the fact that there was no enclosed space, there was no free space. So we just removed the Namarupa pot space, okay? So the concept has to be removed by understanding. Previously, we introduced the word pot space and later withdraw the Namarupa, the pot space. Both are phenomenon only in our speech, but as far as the space is concerned, nothing has changed. We don't have any other way to convey this except with words. Silence is not going to be able to convey this, and the words are dualistic by nature. And we introduce a word, and we call it the birth of the Jivatma, the birth of the space within my house. And then later on, we get trapped. They say, oh, no, I like this house because the living room is very spacious and so on. And then later on, we start believing that, oh, yeah, the sun is really rising or setting. And, oh, yeah, no, the sky is blue. We have to be careful because, we get trapped with language. Although we know certain things, we may get confused at times. We introduce another word called merging in the total space and call it dissolution. Dissolution is another one. From the viewpoint of space, there is no creation, there is no dissolution, there is no dissolving, there is no merging. The same thing with Atma. Atma is always Atma, whether it is associated to a human jiva or just animal jiva or plant jiva. Atma is pure by nature and free of any and all attributes of any body-mind. In the presence of the bodies, we introduce the word Jiva Atma. And thereafter, we decide that we want to merge into Paramatma. This is, subconsciously is there in nearly everyone. The idea. I was doing this seminar, and there was one of my students there. He still believes that he has to connect with the soul. So he comes from a different background. He comes to all my seminars. I find him to be a little mysterious because he believes in a lot of these action things, and he has to connect with the source. But those are notions that trap us in the sense of separation from the source, separation from Paramatma, separation from Brahman. Similarly, Atma is always Atma. This is our struggle for moksha, all born out of our introduction of a word called Jivatma. There is no such a thing called Jivatma other than word Jivatma. So that's why I was, since a while, I have been inspired to break this Jivatma word into Jiva plus Atma. We introduce the word Jivatma, Jiva plus Atma, Brahma plus Atma, Brahma Atma. But fundamentally, we have to remove Brahma Atma and Jiva Atma and understand there is only Atma, okay, which is Turiya. This is just names, 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 and names. That's why in this Mandukya, Gaudapada is going to keep removing all names and concepts to help us to understand that there is not much we need to do to be free, because freedom is our very nature. If Brahman, just a little review of what we have done. If Brahman is always one, non-dual, a creation can never be born out of Brahman. Therefore, the creation of the universe out of Brahman is not possible. Why? Because Brahman is one without a second. What it means to be non-dual Brahman, there is not even a little bit of something other than myself. There is not a slight inclusion of something rather than myself. If there is only I, myself, so to begin with, I don't have any raw material to create the world. I would have to borrow from another universe the raw material to create Jiva and Jagata. But Brahman is always one. And it cannot divide itself, it cannot multiply. No, but there is Maya. No, Maya is not an integral part of Brahman. Brahman is a whole which is partless. There is no parts. Consciousness is a partless whole. So Brahman can never create the world. Therefore, the creation of the universe out of Brahman is not possible. Now, is already point to the fact that Brahman never created this apparent world. Okay, so it is an impossibility. Maya can create this world, but then we're going to understand that this world is just an appearance or a projection or names, namarupas, concepts that somehow are held in place by the power of avidya operating in the human mind, holding by attributing reality to this world, so that Ishvara, through the power of Maya, keeps holding it until we see through this world and we get to know the true nature as I myself. So there's no way creation of the universe came into place out of Brahman. If at all we experience the arrival of the universe as an appearance and as an experience, but never factually. So there is no universe. So Gaudapada says that our experience is perfect, but the conclusion based on the experience is the problem. So we have to review our conclusions. We experience the world, yes. We experience the blue sky, yes. We experience many things, but we have to be careful with perception and inference, especially when we want to get to the true nature of this apparent universe. He does not challenge the experience, but he challenges our mistaken conclusion. The experience of the sun going around the earth can never be questioned because we experience the sun rising, moving across the sky and setting. This experience is not questioned, but the conclusion based on the experience is revised with the knowledge that the earth rotates on its own axis. Even after the conclusion is revised, the experience continues. No? Similarly, we experience the world and the birth of any body minds and the deaths of several living beings. Gaudapada does not challenge this experience, but only the conclusion we draw from it. Our experience is the birth of sentient beings and the birth of inert objects. The sentient beings of Jivatma and the inert universe is Prapancha. Gaudapada challenged the conclusion that we make from this experience that Jivatma and Prapancha, the inert world, are born out of Brahman. The revised conclusion is that Jivatma is not born out of Brahman because Jivatma is not born at all. And that means the Atma of the Jiva is not born at all. And then we say, but the body-mind is apparently born, okay, by the power of Maya, as a projection, as a superimposition, as a Namarupa. The world also is not born out of Brahman because the world is not born at all. So Jagata and Ishvara, they are never born out of Brahman. They are all born out of Maya, and Maya definitely need our help and support to hold it in place, as I have been pointing out. Okie dokie. So let's stop here. We're gonna go into the next verse beginning next Friday. No, next Monday. Today's Friday. No? Anything from you, Mark? Any comments, question, answers?
What we've done today reminded me of what Ramana Maharishi said before he died. One devotee said to him, and he said, "Where will I go to? I can't go. There's nowhere to go. I'm here.
Yeah.
I am."
Yeah, that's it. I have been associated with my first guru, and when he was about to die, some people around him was crying, and he said, "Why are you crying? Where do you think I'm gonna go?" You know. And then he elaborated a little bit. He said, "I'm gonna be on the trees. I'm gonna be on the birds. I'm gonna be everywhere you look. I'm gonna be." But without elaborating, you know, and then later on, those pointers were presented to us. We are all looking around to see if we are going to find his little face on a bird or something like that, you know?
Yeah. That was very nice, Arlindo. Thank you. It's nice to have you back.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back. Yeah, so to our weekly routine.
And your internet's been better today as well, which is great.
What did you say?
Your internet has been better today as well,
Great.
which is great.
Yeah. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste. Thank you, my dear friends. Meet again this coming Monday, Ishvara willing.